Somebody looking for me?
Hey everyone, DaAcorn here, and welcome back to another video. Today, however, is a special day, because today is my brother's birthday. So before continuing to watch this video, be sure to drop a happy birthday, Sir Badger, down in the comments below. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. As for our topic today, I thought it would be mighty groovy to take a look back on what is my brother's favourite game of all time, Taz Wanted. Did you guys ever have a game that imprinted on your childhood so much, you grow up and realise no one really talks about it? And it's almost that exact nicheness that makes it feel all the more special to you? Well, that is exactly what this game is to my brother. So Badger, if you're watching, happy birthday. This video is for you. But what exactly is Taz Wanted? And how did it come to be? Taz was created back in 1954 and made a handful of appearances in their various short films. By the sounds of it, while he was quite popular among audiences, some people within Warner Brothers themselves weren't so fond of him. Edward Selzer, who at the time was head producer at Warner Brothers Cartoon Studio, found him to be too obnoxious, which, though I don't agree, I'd still find the point to be hard to defend. Even after the character was resurrected later on, he still remained as a bit of an obscure Looney Tunes cast member, very rarely getting the spotlight. His real claim to fame came within the decade of the 90s, where he received his own show, Tasmania. I think it's interesting to bring this up because this is the show that starred Willy Wombat, which was almost the name of Crash Bandicoot before ultimately being scrapped because of the already existing character. The show itself played far less like a Looney Tunes cartoon and more like an animated sitcom, which in my opinion isn't the greatest fit for Taz, but he would eventually start to pop up in the incredible medium of media known as the video game. Now, I could bring up all the times he's appeared in general, but that's sort of par for the course for most Looney Tunes characters, always playing second or even third fiddle to the likes of Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck. But he would get co-star billing in the follow-up to the Bugs-led game Bugs Bunny Lost in Time, known as Bugs Bunny and Taz Time Busters. Both of these games play like you would expect from a licensed PS1 platformer. They have their fans, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but I never found either of these games very engaging. Now, there was never officially a third game made, but from my perspective, Taz Wanted acts like the pseudo-sequel to those two. Finally, the spotlight was all on him, and this game was much more my speed. Sure, my brother and I grew up with this game, so there's bound to be bias, but man, I gotta be honest, I just have such a soft spot for this game and everything it offers. It has its flaws, and I'm not blind to them, but just like a hot coffee that burns your throat, sometimes you still enjoy sipping through the pain. While the two Bugs games were on the PS1, this one released on the following generation of consoles, so there is a bit more inherent power behind this one versus the others. I played the PS2 version, and while some of the other platforms had more Looney Tunes offerings, I think I was perfectly fine with my choice. The game begins with two opening cutscenes. Well, aren't we lucky? The first is more of a general look at the recognizable Looney Tunes characters getting pissed off by Taz's existence. To be fair, he does essentially assault every one of them, and costs Yosemite Sam a small fortune, but come on, look at that face. Once you actually begin the game, we get to the main menu, and you can pick between three difficulties, or how they put it, difficulties. I choose Advanced, since I'm no stranger to this game, but I'm also still a bit of a coward and don't want to choose Expert. In our second opening cutscene, Taz and his girlfriend slash wife, the She-Devil, are enjoying each other's company in the beautiful island of Tasmania. This is cut short by the both of them being kidnapped by Sam. He's hard at work building an amusement park and wants to have the She-Devil as essentially the mascot. Taz, however, gets caged up and shoved in the already existing Yosemite Zoo for onlookers to watch. He gets out of the cage with relatively no trouble and starts his quest to save his loved one. Once we gain control of the devil, we can check out the hub area and its various tutorials on things. They're ran by Tweety Bird and really just cover the very basics. Like I said though, this ain't my first time playing, so I say we jump straight into the first level and tackle it all spin first. Once we enter Zoonie Tunes, the other two levels in the hub will unlock. So if we really wanted to, we could exit and tackle the three of them in any order, which is usually the case for the other hubs in the game. But the clumsiness of having to enter this level and then leave it just to play them out of order will hardly ever make sense. Especially since, being the first level, it's fairly short and straightforward. Every level begins with a short montage of 7 wanted posters around the area, each with a cute little voiceover from Tweety Bird. He'll sometimes give us a hint as to how to destroy them, or he'll just make some goofy observation about the poster itself. And the posters really can be anything. Just Just in this level alone, we have a truck, a tree, a satellite dish, and even an actual beehive. So Sam definitely isn't messing around. Some of the more out there objects posing as posters will need a little more than just spinning into them, but for the first level, most of the time, it'll amount to exactly that. The first poster is literally to your right the moment you walk in. Around the area, there will also be these Taz catchers roaming specific parts of each level. Once they see you, they'll book it towards Taz and try to catch him with their net. If you are caught, you'll respawn nearby in a cage that's pretty easily escaped from. You only lose a small amount of your bounty, which is basically your score for your save. It's really not that important, it's a bit of a carryover from the arcade days, but since getting caught is the only way to lose any bounty, technically a perfect save file is possible. So how do you deal with the guards? Well, you can sneak by them, but this isn't really a stealth game. The intended method is to head into these Acme phone booths that give you a disguise. Every level has its own unique one, and each comes with a power that can be used to attack the catchers. Not all of them are created equal, however, and the first levels might be the worst of them all, the skateboarder. I don't even know what I did wrong there, to be honest. Well, there goes my perfect save file. If you do manage to kill a guard, and don't get it twisted, that's exactly what you're doing, they will not respawn. So if you carefully pick off every single catcher one by one, you can make a level safe from de-bountying your bounty. Once we have destroyed every wanted poster, an element of the level will become accessible. In this case, the cage holding the elephant. Once we head in, we get a cutscene showing how Taz is, usually, forcibly thrown out of the level. Returning to the hub, we accidentally bring the elephant, who promptly squeezes itself into the gate, breaking the lock but blocking us from proceeding. One step forward, one step back, I suppose. On to level 2. In this level, among our 7 wanted posters includes a cable car billboard, a literal ice cube, and a Christmas tree star. Beyond breaking these posters, there are a few other things we can do in a level to achieve 100%. Surely by now you've noticed sandwiches scattered throughout the levels. We have to collect 100 of them per area. Luckily, there's usually more than 100. Usually, so collecting the required amount isn't too bad. There are also tons of destructible objects to smash. Breaking 75% of them also contributes to completing a level. In the highest difficulty, Expert, not only are there only 100 sandwiches in every given level, but you have to break 100% of all destructible objects, which, trust me, is quite a step up. Reaching 75% isn't too bad, as there's plenty to break. Boxes, trees, bushes. If it isn't literally bolted down, chances are Taz can destroy it, or eat it. Eating and spitting these things out is another way to take out the guards in a pinch, but be warned, this only temporarily stuns them, and they'll be up to catch you in no time, so it's usually only good for passing them once. The Acme disguise in this level is a snowboarder. It's always nice when the attack allows you to have a bit of range, because if you're even a little too close to these guys, they will catch you before your attack can even take a swing. Sadly, after dispatching a guard, the game does force the disguise off you. Luckily, the phone booths are quite literally everywhere in the levels, usually near places with guards, so it's never too hard to get back into costume. And even without the guards, I do like being in them just to get into the vibe of each level. One last thing we can collect from these levels is the Golden Sam. It's a one-off object that's hidden somewhere in every level, usually requiring you to find a switch to either open a door or otherwise have the Golden Sam accessible. So the posters themselves, the sandwiches, the destructibles, and the Golden Sam is everything we need to collect to fully complete any given level. And now that we've done that, we can leave this level and head to the third, taking the now thawed snowblower with us to the hub. As far from the snow as we can get, Looney Lagoon is a beach/pirate level? I guess if this is still technically part of the zoo, this would be a beachside water park with pirate window dressing. One of my personal favourite things about the game is just how fun it can feel to be in the Looney Tunes world. As you saw earlier, the Looney Tunes offering on previous generations didn't quite look the part, but I feel like this game, and admittedly some of the other Looney Tunes games of the era, finally started to actually be able to emulate the look and general chops of a Looney Tunes cartoon. The cel-shaded graphics and bright colourful worlds have allowed this game to age fairly well in my opinion, and the comedy, while goofy, still manages to put a smile on my face even today. Just simple things like getting beat senseless from this pirate gorilla, or getting knocked out by these things called a punch in the box. Well, they're apparently called boxing glove boxes, but my brother and I always called them the punch in a box, and honestly, I think that's a better name. The best way to get rid of these guys is to spin these time-sensitive buttons to put them to sleep. Quickly destroy them, and you won't have to deal with them anymore. There are also a handful of power-ups in the game that can be useful on your journey, a couple of which appear in this level. The first is this super birth bomb, which you can drink and then project a shockwave of disastrous proportions. This can be used to get Scions just out of reach or just destroy some of the surrounding objects. Another power is the invisibility juice. This will make Taz transparent, which can allow him to pass by punch-in boxes and guards without notice. Again though, it is always best to just kill these guys if you get the chance. But that might suck slightly in this level, as the surfboard's attack is pretty short range and kinda sucks. The soundtrack of this game is also a huge highlight for me. It was one of the first dynamic soundtracks I heard in a game. 3 versions of every level's track, one normal, one slow, and another fast. All 3 play simultaneously but will phase between one another whenever you switch actions. The normal version takes priority by default. The faster version, also known as the spin version, will play when you're, big surprise, spinning. The slower version, also known as the tiptoe version, will play when you're either tiptoeing or on the pause menu. Since this game is hugely underrated, it stands to reason the soundtrack is too, so I have no problem playing some snippets from all the tracks as we travel through the game. Trust me, it's worth it. After destroying signs such as the lighthouse, a bar of soap, and a whole entire pirate ship, we take a treacherous trip out with a life raft in tow. Now, to get to Sam, we still need to get through the gate that the elephant is still currently blocking. Good thing Taz has Looney Tunes logic on his side. We enter the snowblower from Iceberg in an attempt to shoot over the elephant from Zuni Tunes, but fall short and hit the raft from Looney Lagoon. Then we smack into the elephant's behind, clearing the way. It's there we come face to face with what I personally think is the most unsettling Toons character. This giant fluffy mass is apparently known as Gossamer, but I gotta tell you, this guy just freaked me out as a kid. His proportions are just wrong, and I feel like the fur is hiding a scarily misshapen body inside. Sam instigates a game of Elephant Pong, which is apparently an ancient scaring competition. All that's expected of us is to scare the elephant to the other side of the court to hopefully enter Gossamer's goal. It's nothing too crazy, but you'd be surprised just how fast the elephant can get if no one's scored in a while. After winning, Sam escapes with She-Devil towards the city. Taz follows with catchers close behind. Now in the city, Taz sees an advertisement for something called Gladiatoons.
Available for anyone stupid enough to try and rescue this here She-Devil. Well, what are you waiting for, varmint?
Now that we're in the second hub, things will get slightly more complicated. Not to say that this is a hard game by any stretch of the imagination, but it still takes a definite turn upward. But at the same time, these 3 levels are probably my favourite in the game. The first spot going to Samsonian Museum. This level is home to many a cool wanted poster, including a giant light bulb, a giant coin, a giant hologram, a giant puzzle, and a giant painting on the floor. All the giant art exhibits are here. I don't know how much swing Sam has to have a museum replace a lot of its displayed art to just be Taz, but I guess the city is called San Francisco. This level has such great theming, and feels like the perfect place to have Taz go absolutely apeshit. There's some neat visual gags in this level as well, like the door to instant car crash, and this wanted poster that's in a fake reflection. One of the wanted posters is also located in an art exhibit that seems to be showing just raw sewage. Banana taped to the wall doesn't seem so bad in comparison. Because everything is set up in hallways with a bunch of recognizable landmarks around the museum, I find it to be one of the easier levels, apart from maybe the very first one, to find my way around in. One of the coolest things you can find in this level is a secret dev room which highlights portraits of some of the developers, including the game director John Cartwright. You mean the John Cartwright? From Good Vibes Gaming? No, sadly not. You're telling me a Fox developed this game? And Jesus Christ, who the hell is this? Oh, of course, yep, I know him. Nice guy. The disguise in this level is a ninja outfit and has one of the more unique attack animations in the game, doing a matrix freeze frame before taking out your opponent. Thing is, the freeze frame doesn't discriminate if you're gonna win or not. Luckily, there is literally only one catcher in this level, and he's pretty harmless once you've gone through this hallway, or, you know, just go above him. Once we've collected everything, we leave down the spine of a dinosaur, and just by happenstance, take the giant hot dog with us. Taz isn't a fan of the ride out and gives it a kick, which, yeah, that probably hurt Taz. How about you don't kick things? Now, who here likes visiting the supermarket? No? Well... This is yet another banger level theme, a whole shopping centre to pillage. It's after hours, so there isn't any customers anywhere, but there's still plenty of guards, dogs, and Taz catchers to keep us company. Some of the wanted posters up for sale include a clock, a kite, a jumbotron, and an entire television display. Very quickly in the level, we can pick up the Acme disguise.
What's up?
I see a Grammy Award in his future. In his far, far future. This one is another attack that has some range, immediately making it easier to use than others. Speaking of easy to use, it's probably about time I go over Taz's main moves, because there's some funky stuff about his physics that we can take advantage of. He can run, jump, eat, spit, scream into the void, and best of all, spin. Spinning is your bread and butter in this game, as it not only attacks, but also speeds you up, getting you around the level far quicker than just on foot. The spin seems to abide by its own internal rules, however, and if you have a flat surface, you can essentially charge your spin, allowing you to have a massive takeoff, which, when used up high or over gaps, can get you to places you probably shouldn't be able to reach this way. Taz can even jump out of a spin, and can sometimes have some interesting interactions with the edges of certain cliff sides and surfaces. It can feel a bit broken at times, and incredibly unruly, but I've always found it to have far more character and worth more than its faults that Taz controls in such a strange way. The game does seem to know that the spin is far more than it seems, as it does encourage wall riding with the move a couple times throughout, but whether it's aware of the full potential of the spin, I'm not too sure. Once we polish off the rest of the posters, the escalator spontaneously combusts and goes into hyperdrive, sending Taz right through the wall. This gets the entire Looney-Dale sign pulled off, and Taz decides to once again kick his feelings out. Are the Looney Tunes aware of their immortality, or do they think they're just getting incredibly lucky every time they get bodily trauma? Now another question. We've gone through the shopping centre and a museum. What other building would fit right in the city? Okay, so it turns out the bank isn't finished yet, so this level is actually a full-blown construction site. As opposed to the museum, this level may be the hardest to navigate in the whole game. This is purely because of the sheer verticality of the level. Some of it is on the surface, but that part's not so hard. But the two skyscrapers have a strange to and fro way of travel that can be a little hard to figure out. My advice, actually look on the outside of the buildings and take note of the floor numbers. It feels weird to recommend such a real-world practicality for a video game, but well, the maps aren't that useful in the game. They'll give you a general idea of where each wanted poster is, along with a nice piece of art representing the level, but that's about as far as it goes. That being said, I still love this level, and it's probably my second favourite in the game. The idea of them committing to calling it the bank, despite it obviously not being done yet, is kind of funny. Some of the posters include a boom gate, an oil barrel, and a cement mixer dropping big blocks of concrete with Taz's face plastered on top. I don't know the printing mechanics of that mixer, but okay, I don't really know why I'm asking logic questions from a Looney Tunes property. It's rule of funny 100% of the time. This level has two of the other power-ups available to Taz. The soda can immediately gives Taz hiccups, which will intermittently propel him into the air. It's kind of annoying to deal with, but can be the only way to reach certain areas. And the bubble gum, which you can use to float over chasms. Which reminds me, you should try very hard not to fall down when you're so high up on the buildings. This game doesn't have fall damage, not really a surprise there, but that does mean that if you fall, you'll get back up and have to travel all the way up again. I admit, I may have done that a few more times than I would have liked. Right on top of the green building, there are 3 catches all essentially in the same spot, which is a bit of a nightmare at first glance. Luckily, Acme really hooked us up this time. Taz becomes SWAT with a cheese gun that can either knock the catches out cold, or if that doesn't get them, the smell will. This one is great because you don't even have to aim that well. As long as the cheese lands somewhat close, a guard will die. This level has some fun visual gags as well, like this really elaborate elevator setup, or the fact that these guys have propped up where I guess the windows will be. We finish up by unlocking a tool shed, and Taz decides for some reason it would be a good idea to jump into the cement mixer. Taz kicks it because I guess he heard comedy comes in 3s. In my opinion, this particular comedy could have come in 1 and I would have been fine. He jumps back into the mixer and enacts a bit of a Rube Goldberg machine and slingshots all the way into the Gladiatoons arena. tonight's game is between Wile E. Coyote and Daffy Duck, with Taz accidentally taking the Coyote's place. Now it's time to play. The aim of the game is to roll over as many light points so they become your colour. Taz is green and Daffy is red. The problem is, it is an absolute nightmare to get any sort of control on the ball when everything, and I mean absolutely everything, wants to push you around this arena. I always found the difficulty of this boss to be super temperamental as well. Sometimes I had a super easy time, and others it was downright impossible to beat Daffy. It seems that after a certain threshold, he'll prioritise stopping you from scoring, which adds yet another thing in the arena pushing you around. And this guy can follow you anywhere, even blocking the exit of pipes so you have no choice but to go backward. I was so close to losing even this time around, but managed to steal the win right at the end. This gives everyone a chance to box Taz up and trap him, and you gotta love the way Sam pushes Daffy in this moment.
Out of my way, you bill-bumping duck! I got important things to take care of!
Now Taz travels with Sam to parts unknown, also known as... We catch up with Wile E. Coyote, who is trying to make ends meet after losing the opportunity to fight for glory and riches in Gladiatoons. You know, sometimes all it'll take is finding a cute little model train to brighten your day up and save you from... Oh, he's dead. Sam sets up shop across the canyon, and Taz is now left to roam around the deserted west. The music tracks used in the other two hubs weren't bad, but were both pretty low-key. But I have to give special consideration to this one for being so damn good. It's a burnt out term already, but they really didn't have to go this hard on just a hub world theme. I guess you be the judge, personal bias and all. Alright, that's enough jamming, let's head to level 7. I feel like I don't have to explain much now. You guys know what to expect from the typical level. Standout posters include a train, a water tower, and the top of an entire gas station. This level also has the last power-up, a hot chili that allows Taz to breathe fire for a short period of time. It's not exactly Spyro, but it will help him burn the cacti covering certain points of interest. The disguise in this level is an outlaw, but instead of guns, well... judging by the sounds of it, he may just be shooting bullets of his own fart. Effective? Yes. Funny? I will say that this game doesn't always have the highest of performance. I did play this on a dedicated PS2 emulator with upscaling features, but even with my good old PlayStation 2 copy, it was never above chugging in particularly intensive areas. It's never enough to truly become distracting, but still well worth mentioning. Not much else to say about this level, typical Wild West experience. Taz shoots himself into a rock, all the classics. 100%ing a level not only gives us that coveted percentage score, but also unlocks a bonus challenge for each level we complete in this way. They usually consist of races or crate destroying challenges. A few of the races are done with various vehicles, but honestly, they all just kind of pale in comparison to Taz's signature spin, especially compared to the likes of the shopping cart or polishing vacuum. Although, the jet scooter used here in Granny Canyon's challenge ain't too bad. On to the next level. I don't exactly know why this theme in particular would be placed in the desert, but I guess if you left an amusement park to rot in a wasteland, it would eventually be overrun by evil spirits. Despite its placement, I'm glad we still had room for unique theming. I don't know if I can handle 3 entire levels dedicated to the most boring biome ever. This is very much not that. There's even still Taz catches here, and boy, I bet they're having the shift of their lives. A stained glass window, the end of a roller coaster, and a giant pendulum are some of the posters in this level. It probably has my favourite looking Acme disguise in the game as well. That's an important distinction, by the way. The Were Taz looks really cool, but it is yet another close range melee attack, so exercise extreme caution using this one on the guards. This level does have an incredibly long sequence that uses a vinyl player to force Taz into tiptoeing. It takes absolutely forever to get through it, and does feel a whole lot like padding. The vinyl player does make appearances here and there in other levels, but this is by far the longest use for it. Luckily, the tiptoe version of the track is still pretty good. It does, however, have this cool sequence through a secret lab where you turn into a mouse and then the ball from Glover. Be careful though, because this ball is as fragile as my heart the day Spyro 4 sells 7 copies. We leave the level through a tumbleweed machine and, well, we didn't actually get anything from that level, but the boom gates on the track open for reasons. Now anyone can tell all we're missing is a minecart, and everyone knows where to get those. This level is interesting, because not only is there a massive mining operation going on, but seemingly an endless amount of money printing as well. I mean, they have the whole mint just down here, filling piggy banks with gold coins. If you ever wonder why inflation is so bad, blame this guy, and others like him, which there are plenty. The actual mint machine is one of those posters we can destroy by literally gumming up the works. Not only is the track for this level paying massive homage to Indiana Jones, but the Acme costume also plays into it. Taz cracks his whip to dispatch his enemies and yeah, alright, I guess that works too. Most of this level is pretty solid all around, but there is this pretty dreadful minecart section that clearly doesn't want the boost button to be pushed at all. Don't get tempted like I did either. It'll boost you for way too long and way too fast, and you will not have time to swing side to side to avoid obstacles. Taz Haunted also had a section like this, but it was shorter, had less sandwiches on it, and was all around less annoying. It does at least give us the minecart we desperately needed to make it to Sam, which is our next and hopefully final stop. Riding into the sky, we drop into Sam's hideout and third boss, Dodge City. The track for this boss is basically a cover for the Magnificent Seven theme, and I don't feel like getting copyright struck, so I won't play it. Okay, fine, but literally just 4 seconds, okay? You listened to it for 5 seconds, didn't you? Just know I blame specifically you if I end up getting struck. This boss plays like a very surface level version of Bomberman. Exploding the yellow crates beside Sam knocks out his health, and after every HP drop, the frequency of the dynamite he throws get faster, with less time to detonate. We're using his own bombs to get through the maze though, so the faster the better in my opinion. After winning, Sam escapes while Taz is blown straight into space, where he goes on his own little detour, finally ending when we fall straight into a neighbouring island of Tasmania, which just so happens to be the location of Sam's new amusement park. The surprise final level of the game is a big one. Still 7 wanted posters like normal. The difference is, this level plays a whole lot more like a long linear gauntlet, mixing most of what you've learned throughout the game. That includes a long, boring record-playing tiptoe section. You do unlock shortcuts along the way, so you can go back for missing collectibles, but it's mostly a race to the end to face Sam. At this point, if you haven't finished completing some of the other earlier levels, you can go through this door between space and travel between the different hub areas. A nice gesture, but I'm more of a complete while I go kind of gamer. This level probably has the most broken Acme power-up in the game, becoming Taz of the jungle. From a distance, Taz wails and spawns an elephant that just drops and flattens the Taz catchers. Some of the other enemies in the level include... Oh no. Alright, so headcanon. This is clearly an actor that Yosemite Sam hired to play a native, and he's just... well, Sam just doesn't strike me as particularly racially conscious. Although, neither is Looney Tunes if we're being honest. I'm not going to say I hate this level because I really don't, but it still probably ends up being my least favourite level due to just how long it is. Tazland just overstays its welcome slightly too much. After finishing here, however, we confront Sam yet again in his volcano lair. This is it, the last boss, the final confrontation. Yosemite Sam is trying to blow up Taz and we have to flame him with explosives sitting just centimeters away. Great plan. After 6 flames to Sam, he falls into the lava and we win Taz Wanted. Great job everyone. I want to thank my brother, and I want to thank Woogly Boogly, and
Now wait a gal diggity minute!
Go fuck yourself. The actual final don't delete this 1, 2, 3, 4 boss is actually this one. If you can't figure out the twist by that name alone, I'll just let it play out.
A little earlier than I expected, but my true intentions are now revealed. It was my idea to open Tasmanian Theme Park all along. surprise.
This is a 3-stage boss that's for sure the most involved in the whole game. It's also definitely the most difficult. As a kid, this boss gave me so much trouble, and while I did manage to do it on my first try this time around, it's still not a walk in the park. Tweety's attack patterns seem to directly contradict when the game is telling you to strike, leading to some unorthodox timing to beat him. You only have so many hit points and you need to make them count. Otherwise you'll be restarting the entire thing. The final phase has you spitting boxes to open the airlock and push Tweety out. The horror of having no invincibility frames becomes, well, horrific when you realise the 2 projectiles he shoots will take a hit point each, so try very hard not to get hit by them. You still need to be quick though, because the locks will re-engage if you aren't fast enough to switch them all. Once it's open, and one final scream sends him flying, Taz and She-Devil are reunited and crash land back home, where Taz is quickly tasked with cleaning up the mess, which in all fairness he did do. This entire rescue mission was built on hopes, dreams and complete accidents. Least he can do is tidy up. And there you have it, Taz Wanted, my brother's favourite game of all time. It has a soft spot for both of us, having grown up with it, and I still think even looking back today that it doesn't get quite the recognition it deserves, probably due to it basically being buried under plenty of licensed slop that was all too common for the era. I'll still play it from time to time, as it only ends up running several hours, and every playthrough I get to jump my mind back to a simpler time when our favourite games were whatever ended up in our homes during the critical development known as childhood. Sure, games like Mario and Crash Bandicoot made it into far more houses than most, but the important part is Taz Wanted made it into ours. And now, it's made it into yours as well. Well, your YouTube feed at least. I hope you enjoyed joining me on this trip down memory lane for me and my brother, and please don't forget to wish him a happy birthday in the comments. And I'll see you guys next time when you watch DaAcorn.